Coming up on today's episode, we are going to be talking about when cancel culture actually works the other way around. Plus, we're going to talk about knowing your role. You don't want to miss a single second of today's episode. I'm Steve Freeman. This is the Steve Freeman Podcast, brought to you by Found.
You're listening to the Steve Freeman Podcast, the real, raw truth about the pursuit of success in music, business, and life. Here's your host, hit songwriter, multi-platinum selling producer, and serial entrepreneur, Steve Freeman.
Even though I run a very successful business, I must tell you, I am horrible with keeping up with receipts, keeping up with all of that stuff. The tax man is coming, it's tax day is on his way, and I hate this time of year because I'm not good at keeping up with all of that. Well, let me say this. I wasn't until I found my friends at Found. Found is business banking for the self-employed with the self-employed in mind first and foremost. It's easy to sign up. There's no credit check, no minimum balance, and no, get this, no monthly fees. Because when you're self-employed, you need to separate your business banking from your personal. You need to track your income and business expenses, and you need to be able to do it very easily because a lot of this tax stuff is complicated. So the easier it is to do, the better we will stay with it and the more we'll do it. When you open an account with Found, what you're going to find is that you get a full-featured business banking account with business checking, business debit card, direct deposit, ATM access. It's also an all-in-one business income and expense tracker, which is so helpful for me. I'm serious. You get automatic expense categorization. You can set your own categorization rules for different types of expenses. It will capture your receipts right there in your account. You can have a note log. You can import transactions from other sources and invoicing. It's the easiest thing in the world. If you are self-employed, you should be taking a look at Found because it was made with you in mind. You get real-time business reports, and you can rest assured that your account is FDIC insured with real-time transaction notifications that will allow you to stay on top of your account, whether it's suspicious activity or you don't know what's going on. They just make it easy. Open an account in minutes. Found business banking for the self-employed, and they're making it really easy for you. Go to get.found.app/Steve Freeman. That's get.found.app/Steve Freeman. Found. Business banking for the self-employed. Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Steve Freeman Podcast. Episode 2 of Season 8. We've actually made it. It feels good to be here. I'm glad you're here, but while you're here, don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, especially if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, okay? Take 30 seconds out of your MFN day, okay? 30 seconds. Leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts. Rate us 5 stars. If you're watching the video version on the new Steve Freeman Podcast YouTube channel, make sure you are subscribed to the channel so that every time we upload a new episode, you're automatically notified most of the time by YouTube. Make sure you drop a like on the video. If you don't like this episode, that's cool. No problem. Just hit the thumbs down button, but make sure that you hit it twice and leave us a comment in the comments section. Make sure you're following me everywhere on social media at the Steve Freeman, especially on Instagram, where you get to know really what's going on. That's where I post everything first. Plus a brand new feature. If you want to engage with me and you want to have access to me, you want to ask questions, you want to know about what's going on before everybody else, then you need to text me. I am a texter. I'm not good with email. Okay, I'm just going to put that out there. I am not good with email. You need to text me, and it's very simple to do. Just text me at 949-577-8227. 949-577-8227. Join the Outsiders community. You can ask me questions. You can text me. You've got access to me. So again, I'm moving away from email. No more emails. You got a question? Text me. 949-577-8227. Or click the link in the description of the video or the podcast show notes, and you can message me, text me right there. That's how we're going to be doing things from now on. I'm excited for today's episode because I got to be real honest with you. I have been doing a lot of soul searching over the last year, 2 years. As we've been making this transition from leaving Nashville, coming to California, and really deciding exactly what I want to throw my full weight behind. And I got to be honest with you, out here in California, so much good food, that weight is, I'm starting to have more and more weight that I can actually throw around. Seriously, so much good food out here. But I want to talk about something that some of you may not have thought about in the past. Sometimes it's hard to think about. But that's coming up later in the program. Right now, I want to talk about cancel culture. We've talked about this in the past, but I actually received a text from one of our community members, and he was asking me what I thought about cancel culture and does it ever work the other way. And we've never quite seen an example of cancel culture backfiring like Morgan Wallen, ever. And I'm going to tell you why I think that is and what the real difference is. But listen to this. His album is absolutely slaying right now. His historic chart reign continues this week as Dangerous, the double album, has spent its 9th consecutive week at number 1 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. It's the first country album in history to do so. Not Shania Twain, not Garth Brooks, not Tim McGraw, not Carrie Underwood. Morgan Wallen. First country album in history to top the chart for 9 weeks. Coming up this next week, it's still going to be on top, so it's going to be 10. And if you go back over the entire country music history, which is a long history, one could say that it might be a very long time before this happens again. But the reason this has happened is because the cancel culture vultures, their whole plan has been backfired. And I'm if you've been living under a rock, I will basically recap this briefly. Somebody's Ring doorbell, Morgan Wallen's across the street neighbor. Their Ring doorbell caught Morgan Wallen using the N-word. He was not using the N-word referring to a black person, referring to any person of color. He was using it as a term of endearment to one of his best friends, making sure that he was being taken care of. So he was not using it in any derogatory term. He was not referring to a person of color. So this whole thing's been blown out of proportion. And people, the PC police are scratching their head. They don't understand why in the world. Look at all these racists buying Morgan Wallen records. People buying Morgan Wallen records are not racist. What they are realists. And he has had since this has happened, he has had such support from the African American community. Probably more support from them than he has from the white community. Because black people watched that video and went, he did nothing wrong. It wasn't like he was referring to a black person or a person of color. He wasn't meaning it in a derogatory, meanful, or hurtful manner. He wasn't trying to hurt someone by using the word. He wasn't using the word as a weapon. They watch it. Go look on TikTok. I haven't seen anybody criticize him yet. But see, here's the interesting part. A lot of times when celebrities and the fake news media outlets and all of these other people, when they decide somebody has done something wrong and they cancel them, 99% of the time, we don't give enough of a crap to even worry about it. It's like, okay, whatever, go on. Now, listen, I do want to say this. When it comes to cancel culture, and it has to do with people like Harvey Weinstein and all of these people who have sexually taken advantage of or even raped women, men, it doesn't matter. You should be canceled and you do not deserve a second chance. You just don't. Brett Ratner, famous director, film producer, he's trying to make a comeback. I believe in second chances, but I think for anything like that, when it has to do with sexual harassment, rape, anything like that, you just, I'm sorry. You've lost your right to vote. You're a criminal in my mind. So I'm fine with all that. But what we're seeing in the success with Morgan Wallen right now is when real people go, hold up. Hold on, celebrities. Hold on, Maren Morris. Hold on, Mickey Guyton. Hold on, Florida Georgia Line. Hold on, Kelsey Ballerini. We can actually watch this video for ourselves. And we can see he did nothing wrong. Sure, you might not like the fact that he used the word at all. I've made no bones about that. I feel that way. I don't use the word. I don't ever see a need to use the word. But I've also not grown up. The culture that I grew up in, that word has a negative connotation no matter what. So I just choose not to use the word. I choose to keep it out of my vocabulary. That is not saying that Morgan Wallen has not grown up with it being a part of his culture. It obviously has, because he has said the word. But not in a derogatory way. But see, most of the time when these things happen and we cancel these celebrities, what's happening is we have to take somebody else's word for what actually happened. There very rarely is there video. You know, you see a lot of these football players, what happens with them? Well, you know, the guy, was it Ray Rice, that beat the shit out of his girlfriend in an elevator. We could all agree we need to cancel that guy because we saw the footage ourselves. We didn't need Skip Bayless. We didn't need Clay Travis. We didn't need any of these other pundits in the sports world to tell us what happened, and then we didn't really know, so it's like, well, who cares? Yeah, you want to cancel them, cancel them. But when there is video evidence or audio evidence, and we can look at the situation and see what happened for ourselves, then smart people make educated decisions. See, people looked at that, black people, white people, brown people, purple people leaders. We all saw the video and went, okay, no, we don't see anything wrong there. You can dislike the fact that he used the word at all, but that's a preference thing. He wasn't being racist. Again, he wasn't saying it or referring it as to a person of color. He wasn't using it as a weapon. He was using it as a term of endearment, like millions of other people do, black or white. It depends on your culture, where you came from. So what's happening right now is real people are involving them in the situation. They are looking at this and going, wait a minute, no, we are not going to allow you to cancel Morgan Wallen. You can try your best, but we're going to fight this war in the battlefield of public opinion, because when people go buy the record, when people go stream the record, all of those numbers are public. So this is what happened when people speak. You know, everybody talks about voting every 4 years, every 2 years, whether it's local elections or national elections. Use your voice. Let your vote be heard. This is how we fight cancel culture. When the evidence is readily available and you can look at it for yourself and go, okay, here's what I think. This is what I believe. In Morgan's Wallen case, overwhelmingly, the public has looked at this situation and has gone, he did nothing wrong. And to prevent you from canceling this guy, we're going to stream his music, we're going to buy his music in record numbers, and we're going to put him up on a pedestal. So if you're one of these people that look around and you can't figure it out, this is what happens when real people get engaged. And it's like I said, when there are these scenarios and situations where we don't know, there is no evidence, we have to take somebody else's word for it, we have nothing to go on. It's he said, she said, and that's why so many people are allowed to cancel so many people, because there's no proof. These days, all you have to do is make an accusation. What's going on with Deshaun Watson right now, the quarterback of the Houston Texans? I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have not followed that story close enough to yet decide for myself. I know there's no, as far as we know right now, there's no audio evidence, there's no video evidence. It is 14 different women coming forward and having sexual harassment allegations. What I do know is that the owners, the McNairs, the owners of the Houston Texans, backed the mayoral campaign of the defense attorney that is representing all 14 of these women. Now, I don't know. You take away from that what you want. I'm not delegitimizing or saying that these women's claims are false. Who knows? We don't have any proof right now. All we're hearing is allegations. But see, that is the world that we live in now. All you have to do is have the allegations against you. And then all of a sudden in the court of public opinion, you're guilty, especially when it comes to stuff like this. But I love the fact that it is having a negative effect. So if you want to cancel me, fine. Just make sure you spell my name right. Because it's up to each one of us to live our life in according to a way and in a way that we are not subject to people's perception or perspective. We say what we mean what we say, and our actions actually are allowed to stand on their own. I'm one of these type of people that you would have a very hard time accusing me of something because most of what I do is so public. I'm not afraid of my opinions. I'm not afraid of how I think, and I'm not afraid of anybody else knowing them either. And I think if we all did that, things would be a lot better. I love what's happening for Morgan Wallen right now. I am so glad he is the first artist in country music history to have a record on top of the Billboard Top 200 for 9 weeks. Going to be 10. Who knows? Maybe longer, maybe 20 by the time this whole thing's said and done. The album, by the way, has sold 2.25 million units overall, which, by the way, does include streaming, which I don't agree with. A little over 201,000 actual physical album sales since this whole thing started. That's considered pure album sales. So look, I say good for the guy. I love it when real people engage. I love it when real people get to decide. And that's what we're seeing here. Live your life in a way where you're not worried about somebody having proof, if you will, of you doing something that you shouldn't have done or saying something that you shouldn't have said. We don't allow ourselves to get in those type of situations, then there's no fear of being canceled. Like I said earlier, real people make smart and educated decisions. All right, now I want to move into something that I really am excited to talk about. And I hope you guys are able to take something away from this as well. It is important to me that you can take something away. And as we opened the podcast today, I was telling you, going through a life discovery process of myself throughout this whole thing of moving and getting here to Southern California. I want to talk about knowing your role. And some of what I'm going to say today may be hard for some of you to hear. We've touched on this in the past, but I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of texts. I get a lot of messages asking me, well, why is this not working? Or what about this? Or what about that? And I want you to listen to this statement. I was thinking very hard about this last night. I thought, how can I put this into a very clear and concise statement that people will understand? So here's what I came up with. And I want you to listen very carefully to this. People go through life unfulfilled because they spend their lives attempting to fill roles they were never destined to play. Listen to it one more time. People go through life unfulfilled because they spend their lives attempting to fill roles they were never meant to fill, never meant to play. And this is where it gets hard. When I talk to young artists, or I talk to songwriters, or I talk to entrepreneurs or business people, it doesn't really matter. Most of them, their questions center around, why is this not happening? I'm being persistent. I'm being consistent. I've sacrificed, but it just doesn't seem to be happening. I can't get it to break free. I can't break through. This is what I want to tell you. I don't think you know your role. Look, and again, this is hard. It's hard to say. I know it's hard to listen to. But I think for a lot of you, you need to, because the reason you are feeling unfulfilled and you are not reaching the place where you want to be is because you were never meant to. It doesn't matter how bad we want something. It doesn't matter how good we are at something. Here's the funny thing. If you believe in destiny, which most people that I know that I've ever talked to in some form or fashion, they believe in destiny. Here's the funny thing. If you believe in destiny, it is impossible for you to believe that you control it. I think there are times and minor decisions in our lives that we can make that influence the direction of us going one way or the other. Truthfully. I mean, let's talk about, like, for example, wait, I've got a cup of coffee here. If I did not have this cup of coffee today, I would not have consumed the calories that I would because I have consumed it. So I've altered that in some way. I think the free will thing gives us the ability to influence one way or the other to a certain degree. But if you actually believe in there is a bigger plan, there is a larger being, God or whatever it is that you believe, if you believe that that is at work, it is impossible for you to believe that you have any control over the outcome of it. Yet most of us, even though we do believe that, we hold on so tightly to the steering wheel. We think we can drive this thing exactly where we want it to go. But we can't if we truly and honestly believe in destiny. So let me ask you this. How many of you are fighting against your destiny? I've done it before. I've done it many times. I've done it for years at a time. Again, I'm going to say it. It doesn't matter how bad you want something. It doesn't matter how good you are at something. It doesn't matter how hard you work at it. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. I think a lot of you, I have a scenario. I was talking to somebody yesterday. I call it the paper and glue scenario. There are people that are meant to be the pieces of paper. Let's say you've got two pieces of paper, okay? We all want to be the pieces of paper because those are the principle. You've got two pieces of paper, and then you've got the glue. Now, the glue goes in between if you want to stick the two pieces of paper together. You want to bring them together and combine them into one. The glue is the most important piece of the entire process because it's the adhesive. It's what makes those things work. It's what binds them together. But it's not what you see. Most people want to be the pieces of paper. Most of you are out there, most people in general, not just you, most people are out there focusing on trying to become the piece of paper. Because that's what gets seen. That's the surface. That's what, people want to be seen. People want to be known. People want to be respected. People want to be loved. People want to be recognized. People want to be valued. That all comes in being the piece of paper. I would venture to guess that 75 to 80% of you are the glue, and you're spending your time trying to be a piece of paper. I get sad when I look around, especially on social media, and I see people that I've known for years that are doing the exact same thing now that they were doing 10 years ago. They're no further down the road. They're no more popular. They're not getting signed to a record deal. They're not getting publishing deals. They are just still at the same spot they were 10 years ago because they're trying to be a piece of paper when they were meant to be glue. Think about it in terms like this. Just because you have a guitar, just because you can play the guitar, and no matter how good you are at playing the guitar, it doesn't make you John Mayer. I love sports cars. I love driving sports cars. But I could not go and be an F1 driver. I could not go and be a NASCAR driver. I love football, but I can't play starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Think of it in the music terms. I will tell you right now, some of the session players that I work with are the best in the world. They are more talented at their instrument than John Mayer ever thought about being, or anybody else for that matter. They are true experts at what they do. The mind that they have is amazing. But there's a reason they're a session player. They realize that their plot in life was not to be the paper. It was to be the glue. And the ones that I know, they don't think or look at it like they settled. Some of those guys are knocking down $2,000-3,000 a day, going from studio to studio. They're happy. They feel fulfilled because they are not trying to fill a role they were never meant to play. So when you guys are sitting around and you're thinking and you're wondering to yourself, why I've been doing this for so long. What is going on? Why in the world? Why? Why can't I get it to work? Why won't it work for me? You're fighting your destiny. Now, listen, I'll be the first to know. I don't know what you should be doing. I can't determine your destiny for you, but I will tell you this, as much as it hurts to say and as much as it hurts to hear, that one thing that you fight that you don't want to do is probably the thing that you're supposed to be doing. The one thing that is your backup plan, is your safety net, is your plan B. Most of the time, your plan B should be your plan A. People go through life unfulfilled because they spend their life trying to fill roles they were never meant to fill. Can you look at your life? Can you look back? Can you look in the present and see what you're doing now? Seeing that you are pretty much within a 2 or 3 percentile in the same place you were this time last year, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. God forbid, I do know people that are trying to accomplish and succeed in something they've been trying to accomplish and succeed for 20 years. And from the outside, I can look at it and go, man, when are you going to get it? When do you get this is not what you should be doing? Imagine if you applied the same passion, creativity, drive, effort, hustle, grind, whatever it is you want to call it. Imagine if you applied that to what your actual destiny was. I hear it all the time, but Steve, I don't know what my destiny is. Then stop. Stop going in the wrong direction. There is nothing against standing still for a few minutes. We're all scared to death of not moving. Well, then I won't have anything to post on Instagram. And then we get all wrapped up in being the piece of paper and what that looks like and what that means. Stop going in the wrong direction. You're just getting further away from the road you should be on. It is okay to stop for a second. Assess where you are. Look at your life. Am I doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I promise you, if you applied the same dedication, commitment, work ethic, sacrifice, persistence, and consistency, and drive, if you applied all of that in the direction that you're supposed to be going, you're going to get where you really want to be in a quarter of the time. Why so many of us choose the long way around, I'll never get it, because our wants are so powerful. We get tricked into thinking that we can do anything. Let me tell you, you can't. You can't do anything. I want to fly, but if I jump off this fucking house, I'm dead. I want to play quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Ain't going to happen. We have to realize that we have limits. We have to know our roles. And again, I'm not saying what I'm saying to discourage you. I'm saying I would love you nothing more than to listen today and not go, well, Steve's just trying to mess me up, man. Steve's being negative again. No, Steve's trying to say stop what you're doing and look and make sure you're heading in the right direction. Do not let your desires and your wants influence your thought process. Take your desire and your want to do something completely out of it and realize, do the gifts that you are naturally given, do they align with what you're trying to do? Maybe you're trying to be an artist and you should be a session player. Maybe you're trying to be the NASCAR driver, but you should be a pit crew member. But see, we all have these negative connotations that if we're not driving the car, we're not valuable. If we're not singing the song, we're not valuable. If we didn't write the song, we're not valuable. Those are lies. And I'm going to tell you something right now. Many of you have been lying to yourself for years. So why can't you lie to yourself for the better? Get rid of the lies altogether. Realize what it's going to take for you to live a fulfilled life. And I guarantee you, it's not going to be the things you think you want. I said it in a podcast episode many months ago, and I'll use myself as an example. I genuinely thought in my 20s that what was going to make me happy and what I was running and chasing and going after I had a definition of what it was, what success looked like, what made me happy. And that was owning many sports cars, a big house, having lots of money, doing whatever I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. Basically, my idea of success was very, very outside. It's what other people see. Very, very static, very perception based. Okay, let me tell you, I got all of it. And it made me miserable. It took me acquiring all of it to realize that it was not what made me happy. And also, what I wanted at 30 was a lot different than what I wanted at 20. What I wanted at 40 was a lot different at what I wanted at 30. And what I want at going on 45 is a hell of a lot different than what I wanted at even 40. I know now the things that make me happy. Sometimes they're materialistic. Sometimes they're not. But my definition of that, of success and what's made me happy and living the life that I really want to lead, I realize is fluid. But as long as I find my lane and I use my creativity and I use my talent and I use my passion to keep me within the lines, I think I'm going to be happier. And I know I will, because I'm doing it right now. Picking up your whole family and leaving anything and everything they've ever known to move 2,000 miles across the country is not something that most people would consider smart. But I know it's right for me. Because in order for me, I know what it's going to take for me to feel fulfilled. And I don't want to spend another second living my life unfulfilled because I keep trying to find the fulfillment in something I was never meant to do. I'll be the first to say it. Sure, I've written some hit songs. I've produced some popular and platinum selling records. But as I sit here today, I can honestly tell you, I don't think that's what I was meant to do. I don't think I was put on this earth to write songs and produce records. I've done it long enough that I'm pretty good at it. But I can do anything long enough and get pretty good at it. I'm finally getting to a point where I am fulfilling my destiny and realizing who I was meant to be all along. And to be honest with you, I was meant to be the glue. I tried for many years to be a piece of paper. And all along, I was meant to be the glue. But maybe all of those years have paid off in some form or fashion, because I can honestly sit here before you today and tell you I am happy to be the glue. I don't have to be the piece of paper anymore. I don't have to be the driver. I can be in the pit crew. I don't have to be the one flying the plane. I can put the fuel in. Because without everybody, the job doesn't get done. If a NASCAR driver had to get out of his car and change his own fucking tires, he wouldn't win a race, ever. If most artists and songwriters, 99% of them, had to write every lyric to every song and play every instrument, and they wouldn't be very successful. It takes a village. You don't always have to be the leader of the village to be fulfilled. And I hope that's what you take away from today's episode. Guys, thanks for being here. Don't forget, rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. If you're on Apple Podcasts, take 30 seconds, leave us a written review. If you're watching the video version, howdy there. Make sure you subscribe to the new Steve Freeman Podcast YouTube channel, which is what you're watching right now. Some of you may be watching on Facebook. Make sure you drop a like on the video and leave us a comment. And if you want to get in touch with me, you want to have access to me, text me, 949-577-8227. That's 949-577-8227. Make sure you're following me on social media everywhere at The Steve Freeman. And if you are self-employed, go check out Found, business banking for the self-employed, one of our wonderful sponsors here at the Steve Freeman Podcast. Go to get.found.app/Steve Freeman. Guys, until next time, dream big, work harder. systems initiated. You are listening to the Empire Podcast Network.